Hey up, you bunch of smegheads, how's it going? Welcome to the second episode of the Godless Smegcast with me, Godless Smeghead. Thank you very much for tuning in. You can subscribe to this podcast on iTunes. If you search for Godless Smegcast on iTunes, it should come up. If you go to godlesssmegcast.wordpress.com, you'll be able to download it on YouTube, or you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can find me at Godless Smeghead. Thank you very, very much to everybody who listened last week. I've had some very, very positive feedback on Twitter. Very, very encouraging. I also encourage constructive criticism, so if there's any way you feel that I can improve this podcast, then please let me know. First of all, last week's guests, Jordan and Sue, weren't they great? Always entertaining whenever they're on. Always have a good time whenever I get together with them, and I thought it only prudent that they should be on my first podcast, so a lot of people messaged me about Jordan and Sue saying how great they were, so thank you very much to Jordan and Sue. It was great. And yes, Jordan, I know that Sue is not a harsh bad girl. That was the point I was trying to make, you daft tart. Anyway, firstly, just to let you know that this podcast this week is a little bit short. The reason is I had two guests that I've spoken to over the past couple of nights, but unfortunately the recording software that I've used has failed me once again, as it did last week. This week it only recorded very short snippets of each conversation, so I only have 16 minutes of interview footage that I can actually put onto this podcast. I do apologise, I am working on it. There is a workaround that I've got at the moment. There's actually something installed on my system that I didn't know I had that could work, so that's what I'm going to try for next week's Smegcast, and hopefully that will be a little bit longer. So if I just ask you to bear with me through all the technical problems, then, hopefully we'll get that sorted, and hopefully next week we'll be back to full strength. But I just wanted to say a big thank you to Adam Reeks. You can follow Adam on Twitter at Adam Reeks, R-E-A-K-E-S. He runs the Herd Mentality podcast, and when he heard I was having some problems yesterday, he stuck his flag up and he said, I'll Skype you or you Skype me. We had a good chat for about a good 3/4 of an hour, and he's given me some invaluable advice. So thank you, Adam. His podcast is absolutely brilliant. If you've not listened to it, I suggest you do. I would I would recommend the Ray and Raylene's sketches that he does with Franco Soup. They're absolutely hilarious. So check out his podcast. You can find it at theherdmentality.com. Absolutely brilliant. The other thing I wanted to just mention is I got a tweet the other day from Tori Golden. You can follow her at TORIEGOLDEN. She said she'd love to do her own podcast, but she didn't know what subject to do it on. Tori, do it on anything. I'm doing mine on a mixture of atheism and Red Dwarf. We're also putting other things in. Do a podcast on whatever you want to do. It's your podcast. You do need hosting, you do need editing software, like I use Audacity, which is really, really good. Any advice, speak to me, put your flag up. Some other podcasters may come up and help you, but yeah, go for it if you want to go for it. It's not hard. All you got to do is know how to waffle on for a little bit like this, Anyway, I'm going to get you to my guests now. Crystal Contempt and the Lady Satan, both great atheists, both great human beings, very, very intelligent, articulate, very considerate. I've followed them for a long time, think they're great, so I wanted them to be the second guests on my podcast. So without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to the call, and I hope it sounds okay. I will also be coming on at the end to introduce some additional stuff that we talked about. Tonight we have on two people who I respect a great deal. I've been following them both for a long time. They've been following me for a long time. And whenever they tweet wisdom. And I wanted my first proper atheist guests to be the Lady Satan and Crystal Contempt. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi there. How are you doing?
Doing great, thanks. sitting outside in the rain.
Is it raining there?
Oh, yeah, it's very fancy.
What temperature you guys got?
Somewhere above hard nipples, but below a second jacket.
What about you, Lady Satan? Is it really cold there?
Actually, it's not bad today. We got up to about +5 Celsius, and we've got blue sky and sunshine right now, so I'm a happy camper.
Right. Has this polar vortex affected you guys in any way?
I pretty much dress the same all year round, so I just grin and bear it. I'm always wearing pants and a hoodie, even in July.
And I've been wearing every article of clothing I could get my hands on. I don't do cold at all.
Oh, right. It's not really cold here, actually. I mean, it's pretty chilly, but it's not been absolutely freezing, and I'm not sure if we're actually even going to get any snow over here. We only had 2 very short bursts of snow where I was last year, and that was it.
Wow.
Must be nice.
Hardly covered the grounds. Right, I wanted you two guys on because you're both absolutely great atheists. Your tweets inspire me, and I just wanted to know what it's like from both of you to be a transatlantic atheist, given that a large proportion of your respective countries believe in God.
For me, it's not, I mean, because I'm in Boston, it's not incredibly crazy here like it is in the South. There are people in the South that are, free-thinking as well, but it's not as open up here. It's not as in your face. It's still like they say, under God and the pledge and all that shit in schools here still. So it's like still an issue in my life, but it's not as, stifling, I think, as it is in some other areas.
Yeah.
But I think people are kind of still surprised. I think there's still kind of a taboo and like, around the word atheist, and people are, like, like this is, I didn't know that was an option,
Yeah.
So it's kind of liberating.
Would you say that certainly Boston, that sort of neck of the woods, would you say that that's a more secular part of the country?
Yeah, I mean, we still face the same shit that everybody else does, a little bit, but, I can walk into a place and wear a shirt that says heathen and not think I'm going to be immediately ridiculed, but, you do still get a little bit of shit, so.
Yeah. Whereabouts are you, Lady Satan?
Actually, I'm in Ontario, Canada.
Is Canada a pretty secular country?
I think compared to the U.S., we're much closer to Europe in like the percentage of our population that's atheist. And I find here, like I've traveled quite a bit in the States, and I find in Canada, I don't know if it's just the Canadian culture of being sort of very laid back and kind of everybody does their own thing. You don't get so much of the in-your-face religion. We have very few schools left that are religious-based. And like Krista was saying, she wears a t-shirt that says heathen. She's not going to immediately get ridiculed. I find here in Canada, if I wear my t-shirt that says, too stupid for science, try religion, the worst I've gotten is like the dagger stare of death from a couple of older people.
Yeah.
But most people just kind of, shrug their shoulders and that's about it.
Have you always been an atheist?
Pretty much my entire life. I think I was about 8 years old when I realized, like, this is just bullshit. Like, I started picking up on the contradictions. And, I remember going to church, and I actually went to a Catholic school. And I remember one of the nuns that taught us took us to church one afternoon with like a treat. And it was odd. But sitting there, and she was saying, the tabernacle, this is where God lives when he's here. And at the same time, I'm thinking, but yesterday you told us God is everywhere. So is this little house or is he everywhere? And it just, after that, it started snowballing. And I started asking questions, and I just realized this is the crowd.
Yeah, the contradictions started to kind of come through pretty early for you.
Yeah, and I think I'm lucky my parents weren't super religious in any way. So when I started moving away from, wanting to go to church and wanting to participate in church things, they really didn't care. So it made it easier.
Yeah, can imagine. What about you, Crystal? Have you always been an atheist?
My parents are self-diagnosed agnostics. My mother, I think, suffers from that kind of Pascal's wager thing where she's just afraid to say that she doesn't believe. But we never went to church or anything. I went to church a lot with my friend. I've been friends with this same girl since like 5 years old. And, I'd sleep over her house on the weekend and go to church with them on Sunday. And then we're teenagers. I went to like some of her youth group meetings and shit. But that didn't last very long because I like to point obvious things out to them. And like the pastor's wife, one time I was like 13. I was like, so if John Lennon doesn't want heaven to exist, does that mean he's going to hell even though he's a good guy? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, well, then fuck this.
You see, you two are... I mean, you don't really... Sometimes you don't do it unless you're provoked, but you two are quite outspoken atheists. And with you, Crystal, pretty much not believing from birth, and with you, Lady Satan, having questions from such an early age, what motivates you to be so outspoken? Is it the bullshit that you see on Twitter and the bullshit that you hear in your real life, or is it just something, the awareness of which needs to be raised?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both of those things. Like when I see it online, when I see it, amongst my Facebook friends, and especially when I see it on Twitter, because Twitter seems to be, more extreme, and just seeing it impacting people's day-to-day life, like women's reproductive rights.
Yeah.
It irks me no end. It's like it's time we grow up as a species and leave this behind and, move forward.
Because it does regress us, doesn't it? It holds us back, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you think about all the scientific discoveries that were postponed or, the things that we've missed out on, we could be as a species so much further ahead if it weren't for religion.
Absolutely. What about you, Crystal? Why do you feel the need to be outspoken?
But for me, it's just hypocrisy of it, really. It's a lot of the people who claim that they want to be Christian and be Christ-like tend to be extraordinarily judgmental of others. And, a lot of it's like, I'm a big gay ally, and it has a lot to do with that as well, and like the abortion debate and all of that stuff that kind of ties into my personality and how I, think that other people should be allowed to live their lives. And these people who say they stand for love are just restricting everyone else.
I mean, Crystal, you know this because you and I have talked on FaceTime and on the phone, and we've texted before. So, you and I are buddies. But it took me till I was 41 years old. I was 41 years old, and
better late than never.
Yeah, I mean, I'd had doubts for 9 years before that. But one day I woke up and I said to my partner, "He's gone. I don't believe in God anymore. It's totally gone." And you know what? It was just an ordinary day. I went to work. I came home. It was just an ordinary day, but it was the best day of my life.
It is liberating.
Very much. And partly the reason why I'm outspoken is because I want others to experience that feeling that I had. And it's not really to convert them. It's just to make them think differently. It's just to make them question what they've been told and what they've been programmed. That's what it is. It's programming. It's like your brain is a computer and they program it and they pile you. I also went to a Catholic school and I was absolutely brainwashed with it. And it was just so liberating to just finally just let go of it and just move forward. And that's what I'm doing. And it just feels fantastic.
And I'm sure you didn't run out and eat any babies or commit any rapes or anything either.
Oh, I ate the odd baby, I mean, there were loads of babies around, but I just picked one and just ate it. No, I didn't understand the eat babies reference when I first became an atheist. I had to look it up, but I'd probably still be going on for another 10 years thinking, oh, is he real, is he not? So what actually brought you to Twitter? I mean, were you first Facebook, or have you always been on Twitter?
I abandoned Facebook. I couldn't stand it. It was just all these people that I don't talk to anymore, that I don't care about, just posting bullshit that nobody cares about, like just the most mundane details. At least on Twitter, like, I still don't know you. I still don't care, but at least you're amusing.
Yeah.
And I've actually found that the people on Twitter that I don't know have been kinder to me and more receptive to listening to me and caring about my issues than most of the people that I quote unquote know in real life on Facebook. And it's just a time-sucking vortex of hopelessness.
Couldn't agree more.
Hooray!
Because we've kind of been following each other for a while, haven't we, Lady Satan? You and I.
Oh God, yeah. I think we kind of hooked up very shortly after I came on Twitter.
Yeah.
Because I'm another Facebook refugee. I mean, I still have my Facebook account, but Crystal, you said it so well. It's just this time-sucking vortex of doom. Well, I find Twitter is people who want to be there and who want to talk about ideas and, science and atheism and all this and challenge, themselves and other people. And Facebook is, another baby picture.
I am also a Facebook refugee.
Yeah.
I also started off on Facebook. I've had a Twitter account since I think it's either 2007 or 2009. I can't remember, but I did open a Twitter account and it just lay dormant for years. And then I decided Facebook was bullshit, and I started going on Twitter. And I've had about 4 screen names since I came on Twitter, but this is my permanent one. This is the one I've settled on.
It's a good one.
Thank you. Right, Crystal and I also have something in common. We're both Red Dwarf fans. Have you ever watched Red Dwarf, Lady Satan?
I have, and I love it.
Ah!
Yeah.
Oh, I'm in heaven. I'm with 2 Lady Dwarfers. Favourite episode and why?
I still can't remember what it's called, so forgive me. Maybe you know what it's called off the top of your head, but the one where they go to the wax museum planet is
Meltdown.
fucking hysterical. Yes,
Meltdown.
It's amazing.
Reach for the sky, boys. Thank you very much.
I can't. It's so funny. And they have like Gandhi, and he's just like, like he doesn't want to fight for them. And just the scene where they're in the prison, and he's like, they're taking someone out to be shot. It's Winnie the Pooh. He's refusing the blindfold.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, I love Meltdown. And believe it or not, we're in the minority because a lot of fans don't like Meltdown. I don't know why. It's okay. It was filmed in a park in London. We know. We can tell that. But
yeah, come on.
But that does not take away from the fact that it's a damn funny episode.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Lady Satan, your favourite one?
I think it has to be the one, and again, like Crystal, I can't remember the name of the episode, but it was when Crichton was trying to learn how to lie.
Camille.
Yes. One. Thank you.
Camille.
That's the problem with watching the whole series more than once, is you confuse all the episodes. That's how you know you're a true fan, when you're like, I don't fucking know which one it was.
I mean, there are some episodes that I don't watch as much as others. If someone asked me for my favourite series, I think it'd have to be series 3 to 6, because they're all just great series. I mean, series 6, the culmination in the Gunman of the Apocalypse. I mean, that was just fantastic.
That was amazing.
Yeah, Gunman of the Apocalypse is a great episode. It's probably one of my favourites. Have you guys also seen Emo Hawk Polymorph 2?
Oh, I have no idea.
That's the one where Lister marries the Gelf.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
They have to go and trade with the Kinitawawi, and he ends up marrying a Gelf.
That's what it's like when I try to get laid.
Have you not seen that one, have you, Lady Satan? No?
I have. It just took me a few minutes for it to click back into my brain.
I understand you're a bit of a Python fan, Lady Satan.
I am. I love Monty Python. Shamelessly quote way too much of their movies.
Are you either of you, a fan of Monty Python and the Holy Grail?
That's
Yes.
my favorite.
Hell yeah, you gotta love the evil bunny and shit. I think it's the Holy Grail, but I could be wrong, so forgive me if I'm wrong. There goes the king. Well, how do you know he's the king? Because he's not covered in shit.
He's not got shit all over him.
That's Holy Grail.
You've got the Black Knight always triumphs and then gets every single limb apart from his head chopped off.
Well, it's only a scratch.
Tis but a flesh wound. And then he threatens to bite King Arthur's legs off. So that's as far as the recording got on the pop culture stuff. We did talk a lot more about Red Dwarf. We talked a lot more about Breaking Bad, about Game of Thrones, about Dexter. We talked about a lot of things, even Doctor Who. we discussed a lot of things with regards to pop culture and particularly Red Dwarf, but pretty soon the conversation moved to Atheism Plus, and we had a long conversation about that. Unfortunately, the recorder only picked up a very short amount of it. Crystal did not hold back in her opinion of Vita Brevi. I've not really edited much out of this. I've not edited anything of what Lady Satan or Crystal Contempt had to say about Vita Brevi, or indeed Oolon, but we did have a good long conversation. I'm just sorry that you couldn't hear it. But anyway, here we go. Very short snippet about Atheism Plus, and hope you enjoy it. We do have something to discuss because I know you're very strong opponents of this, as am I. Atheism Plus and the Blockbot. Specifically, I know Crystal has had her problems with Vita Brevi. I'm not sure if you're aware of her, Lady Satan, but... oh, goodness me, where do I start?
She's a hot mess. She's obviously fatter than she's trying to show in her pictures. She looks like fucking Bette Midler, only ginger. She is the most humorless cunt I have ever seen in my life. She just like has no appreciation for humor. She is an extreme feminazi. Like just anything that you say, she turns into like, you know, she's a
misogyny.
Victim. She's the victim.
Yeah.
She's a misandrist. Like everything you say is like against men, pro women, pushing it way too far, not trying to be equal, just a complete hypocrite saying, oh, well, you can't talk to me this way, and then turning around and saying the same shit to other people because it suits her needs.
And then believing that adding you to a blockbot is punishment.
It's laughable. I'm as proud to be a member of the Blockbot list as I am to be a member of Harper's Satan's Army.
Me too. I don't know. Are you on the Blockbot, Lady Satan? I don't think you are you?
I don't think so. I think I sort of slid under their radar. I was off Twitter for a few months. Like kind of the stupid of the religious people got to me, and I was like, oh, I have to take a break from this. So I think I missed a lot of the big Atheism Plus block fest.
I was added in July, so I'm a very early addition to the list, and I'm very...
Yeah, you have a place of honor.
And I'm afraid that was all we were able to get on the Atheism Plus side, unfortunately. We went on to talk about a lot about how Atheism Plus itself has been divisive to the atheist community. We also talked about what a completely pointless exercise the Blockbot was and how it doesn't actually benefit anybody. And we also talked about just the car crash of their tweets and how their tweets were selfish and how their tweets really weren't benefiting anybody except themselves, and what narcissists they are. Now I'm going to cover this in another episode sometime in the next few weeks. I've got a Scotsman's Abroad commitment to come on and talk about it, and we're going to have a good laugh about it. But it was just unfortunate that you got to hear so little of these two ladies because they were great guests. I had a whale of a time chatting to them. I do plan to have them both back on either together to do a take two, or maybe just to have them on individually, or maybe with other people, but you will be hearing them again on the Smegcast. I can only apologise for the technical difficulties I've had. I hope you understand. If you have enjoyed this podcast, please do tweet me at godlesssmeghead. You can email me godlesssmeghead@hotmail.co.uk, or you can go to the podcast website, which is godlesssmegcast.wordpress.com, and just leave me a comment on there. Okay guys, I'm really sorry this is so short, but you know that I'm on it, so thanks very much for listening. Please subscribe to me on iTunes. Please also, I'm going to be putting a Stitcher link up, so if you're a member of Stitcher and you want to subscribe to me on Stitcher, that would be brilliant, thank you. You can also find me on YouTube now. I've got a YouTube account, Godless Smeghead. It's got videos. It's actually got a chat between myself and Cherokee Awesome that was recorded a few months ago. So I don't know if you guys want to go and check that out. Again, it was just like a chat. So, you know, have a look at that, see what you think. And I'll see you next week.